Digital minimalism, finding peace in the algorithmic age. Have you ever noticed how you open your phone just to check something quickly, and suddenly, 30 minutes are gone? You didn't plan to watch that recipe video, or scroll through that stranger's vacation photos, or read that heated argument in the comment section. But somehow, the algorithms knew exactly how to keep you hooked. We live in a time where technology is no longer just a tool, it's a constant companion, a silent whisper in our pocket, always ready to feed us the next thing. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with staying connected, there's a hidden cost: our attention, our presence, our peace of mind. The truth is, the digital world isn't built for our well-being. It's built for engagement. Every swipe, every click, every just one more moment is meticulously designed to keep us on the hook. These platforms learn us, our moods, our desires, our insecurities, sometimes better than we know ourselves. And when we live inside that loop long enough, we begin to lose touch with something precious, the quiet space within us. Think about it. When was the last time you were truly bored? Not bored and grabbing your phone, but simply sitting in stillness, letting your thoughts wander, noticing the colors in the room, the sounds outside your window? That space, empty, unfilled, is where presence lives. But in the algorithmic age, that space is constantly under attack. This is where digital minimalism comes in. Digital minimalism isn't about throwing your phone into the ocean or deleting every single app you own. It's about being intentional. It's the art of choosing technology in a way that serves your values, rather than letting technology dictate your values. For example, imagine your mind as a garden. Every time you scroll, an algorithm plants seeds in it, seeds you didn't choose. Some might be flowers of inspiration, but many are weeds: comparison, outrage, distraction, restlessness. Digital minimalism is like becoming the gardener again. You decide what to plant. You decide what grows. For me, it started when I realized I was waking up in the morning and checking my phone before I even took my first breath of fresh air. I wasn't starting my day. I was starting someone else's, stepping straight into a feed full of other people's agendas, emotions, and noise. That constant stimulation left me feeling scattered, always reaching for something, never quite grounded. So I experimented. I started my mornings without my phone for the first hour. I deleted a few apps that were designed to be endless. No more infinite scroll, no more just one more video. I replaced those moments with small, real-life rituals: making coffee slowly, reading a few pages of a book, stepping outside to feel the air. And something surprising happened. Time didn't slow down. I slowed down. I could actually feel the texture of my own thoughts again. I noticed how often I'd been reaching for my phone not because I needed it, but because I wanted to avoid a feeling: boredom, loneliness, discomfort. Without the constant noise, those feelings had space to rise and pass. Here's the thing: the algorithms aren't evil. They're just doing what they're built to do. But we have to remember, we are not powerless here. We can choose how much of our mental real estate we are willing to rent out to them. So, how do you begin? First, define your non-negotiables. What truly matters to you? Maybe it's having unbroken time with your family in the evening. Maybe it's being fully present during your creative work. Maybe it's simply having a quiet mind before bed. Once you know what you value, you can start using technology to support that, rather than sabotage it. Second, set intentional boundaries. Not vague ones like "I'll spend less time online," but specific ones: no phone at the dinner table. Social media only between 3 to 4 p.m. One screen-free day a week. These are lines you can hold, and over time, they become habits. Third, replace consumption with creation. When you have a free moment, instead of reaching for your phone, try doing something with your hands. Write, sketch, cook, play an instrument. The satisfaction of creating something, even something small, fills a space that endless scrolling never can. Finally, make peace with missing out. The fear of missing out is one of the strongest hooks of the digital world. But the truth is, you're going to miss most things anyway. And that's okay. The most beautiful parts of life often happen when you're not watching someone else's life unfold on a screen. Digital minimalism isn't about rejecting the modern world. It's about reclaiming your sovereignty in it. It's about remembering that your attention is your most valuable resource, and deciding to spend it like it matters. Because in the end, peace isn't something the algorithm will ever suggest to you. Stillness won't be in the recommended videos. Presence won't trend on your feed. These are things you have to choose, deliberately, again and again. And when you do, something shifts. You begin to see that the digital world can be a beautiful tool, one that connects, inspires, educates, when it's kept in its place, and that there's a deeper, quieter life waiting for you just beyond the screen. So maybe the real question isn't how much time do I spend online, but who am I when I'm offline? And perhaps that's the person worth meeting again. Reclaiming your mind in the algorithmic age. Have you ever felt that low-level anxiety when your phone buzzes? Again? That restless pull to just check your messages or glance at your notifications, even when you were in the middle of something important, or worse, in the middle of doing nothing at all? You're not alone. We are living in what I call the algorithmic age, a time where our attention is the most valuable currency, and everyone is fighting to get a piece of it. And the truth is, they are winning. Every notification, every ping, every perfectly curated feed is part of a system designed not for your peace of mind, but for your engagement. And it works so well that many of us don't even realize how much of our day, our thoughts, and even our emotions are shaped by it. The cost. Our presence. Our clarity. Our ability to simply be here, now. Let's pause for a moment. When was the last time you went an entire hour without touching your phone? Not because you were asleep, but because you were deeply absorbed in life, cooking, walking, talking, or simply staring at the clouds. If you can't remember, you're not failing. You're just human in a world built to keep you wired in. But here's the good news. We can reclaim our attention. We can choose to step out of the algorithm's grip, not by rejecting technology altogether, but by using it on our terms. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when my mornings began with a quick scroll through my phone, just to catch up. 30 minutes later, I'd find myself buried in headlines I didn't need to read, videos I didn't need to watch, and 100 other people's thoughts before I'd even had a moment to notice my own. By the time I closed the apps, my mind was already noisy. My day felt hijacked before it had begun. One morning, I asked myself a question that changed everything. What if I gave the first hour of my day back to myself? So I tried it. No phone in the bedroom. No social media until after breakfast. Instead, I made coffee slowly, felt the warmth of the mug in my hands, and actually looked out the window. I noticed the quiet. I noticed my thoughts. And I noticed how strange, almost uncomfortable, it felt at first, like my brain was itching for that instant dopamine hit. But after a week, something shifted. I felt more grounded, less reactive. I could carry a thread of calm with me into the rest of the day. This is the heart of what I'm talking about, what I call deliberate disengagement. It doesn't mean deleting every app or living like it's 1995 again. It means making conscious choices about when and how you engage with the digital world. It's deciding that you're not going to let a notification dictate the rhythm of your life. If you're feeling overwhelmed, here's where I'd suggest starting. 1. Audit your digital habits. For one day, pay attention every time you reach for your phone. Ask yourself, why am I picking this up right now? You might be surprised to find it's rarely because of necessity, and often because of habit, boredom, or stress. 2. Create friction between you and your distractions. Move the most addictive apps off your home screen. Turn off non-essential notifications. Even small changes like keeping your phone in another room while you work can give you back hours of mental clarity. 3. Replace consumption with connection or creation. When you feel the urge to scroll, try something else. Text a friend, write a few sentences in a journal, take a short walk. The aim isn't just to avoid your phone, but to fill that space with something that actually nourishes you. 4. Redefine what being informed means. You don't have to read every headline or watch every trending video to be an aware, thoughtful person. Being informed is about depth, not volume. Choose a few trusted sources and let the rest go. And here's the most important part. Make peace with missing out. Because in the digital world, there will always be something you didn't see, a conversation you didn't join, a trend you didn't catch. But that's not failure, it's freedom. Think about it. No one ever said on their deathbed, I wish I'd spent more time checking my notifications. What we crave in the end is connection, meaning, peace. And those things don't come from staring at a screen. They come from living. The algorithms aren't going away. But neither is our ability to choose. Every moment you resist the pull of constant digital noise, you're making a statement. My attention is mine. My mind is mine. And here's the beautiful part. When you reclaim your attention, you don't just find more time, you find more life in the time you already have. So the next time you feel that twitch to pick up your phone without thinking, try pausing. Take a deep breath. Look around. Let yourself be here, in this uncurated, unfiltered, unrepeatable moment. Because presence, the kind that can't be liked, shared, or tracked, is still the most precious thing you'll ever own. Digital minimalism, the peace you've been missing. What if the key to greater peace isn't adding more to your life, but taking something away? We live in an age where every spare second is filled. Waiting in line. Scroll. Sitting in the car before going inside. Scroll. Even during a quiet walk, there's a podcast in your ears, notifications lighting up your screen, and a dozen apps ready to pull you into their world. But here's a question we rarely ask. What's all this constant connection costing us? It's not just our time. It's our presence, our ability to sit in stillness, our capacity to notice the life unfolding right in front of us. You see, modern technology, especially the platforms driven by algorithms, thrives on one thing: our attention. Every second you spend scrolling is a second they can monetize. And so the system is designed to keep you there. Not because you need to be, but because they need you to be. Think about it. When was the last time you went a full hour without touching your phone? Not because you were asleep, but because you were deeply present in what you were doing, fully absorbed in a conversation, a project, or simply the quiet around you. If you can't remember, you're not alone. That's why digital minimalism has been called a modern antidote to the overload we live in. It's not about rejecting technology or going off the grid. It's about choosing how and when you engage. It's about stepping back from the noise so you can actually hear yourself think. For me, this realization hit during a weekend trip to the mountains. No cell service. No Wi-Fi. At first, I was restless. My hand kept reaching for a phone that couldn't load anything. But then, something shifted. I noticed the wind moving through the trees. I noticed my thoughts slowing down, stretching out. I noticed how much space there was in my mind when I wasn't being pulled into 100 different feeds. And when I came back to real life, I realized I didn't want to lose that space. So I started making small changes. First, I removed the apps that felt like black holes for my attention. Those ones you open without even thinking, and suddenly 20 minutes are gone. Then I began setting no phone zones. My bedroom, the dining table, the first hour after waking. I started asking myself a simple question before picking up my phone. What am I here for? If I didn't have a clear answer, I put it back down. And here's the surprising part. The less I was online, the more I was in my life. I had deeper conversations because I wasn't half distracted. I noticed little things, the way sunlight moved through the room, the subtle expressions on people's faces, the quiet moments I'd been too busy to see before. This is what digital minimalism offers. It's not about deprivation, it's about restoration. It's about giving your mind a chance to settle, your relationships a chance to deepen, your creativity a chance to breathe. The algorithms will always try to keep you engaged, because engagement is their lifeblood. But your life, your real, unfiltered, offline life, needs your engagement too. And it gives back something the digital world never can: peace. So, how do you begin? Start small. Choose one part of your day to protect from digital noise. Maybe it's your mornings, so you can start your day grounded instead of reactive. Maybe it's mealtimes, so you can taste your food and truly connect with the people you're with. Be intentional. When you do go online, decide in advance what you're there for. Are you checking a message? Reading a specific article? Watching one tutorial? The moment you finish, step away. Replace. Don't just remove. If you cut out the scrolling but don't fill the space with something meaningful, the habit will creep back in. So read a book, take a walk, cook a new recipe, play with your kids, journal, do anything that brings you into the present moment. And finally, allow yourself to miss out. You will miss a meme. You will miss a trend. You will miss someone's hot take on the news. And you'll be okay. Because what you gain is worth so much more: mental clarity, emotional calm, and the experience of actually living your life as it happens. We've been taught to believe that the more connected we are, the richer our lives will be. But sometimes, the opposite is true. Sometimes, by stepping back, you can see more clearly. By saying no to the constant pull, you can say yes to what actually matters. So, here's my invitation: experiment. Take a weekend, an afternoon, or even just an hour to unplug, fully. Notice how your mind feels. Notice what you notice. And ask yourself, is this the peace I've been missing? Because maybe the calm you've been searching for isn't something to add to your life. Maybe it's something to clear away. You know, there's a truth we don't like to admit. Your phone isn't just a tool anymore. It's a carefully engineered trap. Every notification, every ding, every red badge. It's designed to pull you in and keep you there. Not because you need it, but because someone else profits when you can't look away. And here's the thing, this constant pull isn't just costing you time. It's stealing your peace. It's splintering your attention. It's making it harder to be present with your own life. We've accepted this as normal, right? The endless feed. The infinite scroll. The algorithm deciding what we should think about next. And maybe, just maybe, that's the problem. Now, before you think I'm about to tell you to throw your phone in the ocean and move to a cabin in the woods, relax. That's not what this is about. This is about taking back control. It's about digital minimalism. Not no tech, but smart tech use. Not disconnection from the world, but reconnect ion with yourself. Imagine this for a second. Waking up in the morning without instantly reaching for your phone. No flood of emails, no headlines screaming for your outrage, number 37 notifications before breakfast. Instead, you have a few minutes of quiet. You stretch. You breathe. You actually taste your coffee. It sounds simple, but it's radical in today's world. Because when you stop letting your phone dictate your first thoughts of the day, you start choosing them yourself. That's not just peaceful, that's powerful. Here's the reality. Your phone is like a slot machine in your pocket. Every swipe, every refresh, it's a gamble. Will there be something exciting? Something new? Something that triggers you just enough to keep you engaged? The people who designed it know the psychology, and they've mastered it. But the thing they didn't account for is what happens when you simply stop playing. That's where digital minimalism comes in. It's not about living in the past, it's about designing your digital life on purpose. Instead of mindlessly consuming whatever shows up on your feed, you ask yourself, does this actually add value to my life? If the answer is no, it doesn't belong in your daily routine. Think about it. If you ate every single piece of food that crossed your path, no matter how processed or unhealthy, your body would be in chaos. But we do exactly that with information. We binge on mental junk food, and then wonder why we feel anxious, distracted, and restless. Here's what changed for me when I started practicing digital minimalism. I stopped checking my phone after 9 p.m. I deleted apps that didn't actually serve a purpose in my life. I turned off every notification except the ones from real human beings I actually care about. And at first, it was weird. I felt this itch, like I was missing something. But after a week, I realized I wasn't missing anything important at all. In fact, I was getting something back, something I hadn't even realized I'd lost. I was getting back my attention. And with it, my peace. When you're not constantly distracted, you start noticing things again. The way your kid's face lights up when they tell you a story. The sound of rain hitting the window. The taste of a meal you cooked without checking your phone 5 times while making it. These little things, they're life. And they've been waiting for you. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds nice, but I need my phone for work, for family, for staying informed. And you're right, you do. But there's a big difference between using technology as a tool and letting it use you. Digital minimalism isn't about deprivation, it's about intention. It's about asking, how much of my screen time is truly necessary, and how much is just habit? If your phone is a tool, it should feel like one. It should serve a clear purpose, and when that purpose is done, it should get out of the way. Let's be honest, nobody looks back on their life and thinks, I'm so glad I spent thousands of hours scrolling through strangers' vacation photos. What we remember are the moments when we were fully present, the conversations that went deep, the experiences that felt alive, the peace of just existing without being pulled in 1,000 directions. Here's a little challenge for you. For the next 24 hours, turn off every non-essential notification on your phone. No news alerts. No social media pings. No your package has shipped banners. Just the things that truly matter. And see what happens. Chances are, you'll notice the quiet. And in that quiet, you'll hear something you've been missing. Your own thoughts. your own presence, your own life. In the end, this isn't about rejecting technology. It's about mastering it. Because the truth is, your attention is the most valuable resource you have. Spend it on things that matter. Protect it like your peace depends on it, because it does. Digital minimalism isn't just a philosophy. It's a way to take your life back from the constant pull of the algorithm. It's how you trade distraction for depth, noise for clarity, and anxiety for peace. So the question is, are you ready to stop letting your phone run your life and start living it instead? The unseen cost of always being on. You ever notice how the world doesn't seem to stop anymore? Not just the big stuff, the news, the deadlines, the appointments. I'm talking about the little things. The constant buzz in your pocket. The glow of a screen that's always waiting for you. The endless feed that never, ever runs out. We live in what I call the scroll and doom loop. It's like we are standing in a river of content that never stops flowing. And the current is stronger than we think. Every time you open your phone, you're not just checking in. You're stepping into an algorithm's carefully designed playground. It knows what will hold you for 10 seconds, for a minute, for an hour. And while you might think you're the one in control, what's really happening is, your attention is being auctioned off to the highest bidder. The cost of always being on. It's not just in the minutes we lose, it's in the quality of the minutes we still have. Think about the last time you tried to do deep, focused work. Maybe you were writing something important. Maybe you were talking to someone you love. How long did it take before your mind wandered? Before you thought, I'll just check my phone for a second? That second turns into 10 minutes. 10 minutes turns into, wait, what was I doing again? We are trading depth for breadth. We skim the surface of everything, but rarely dive deep into anything. Our conversations are shorter. Our thoughts are more fragmented. And the space where creativity and clarity live? It's shrinking. The truth is, the brain wasn't built for this kind of stimulation. The constant refresh, the endless novelty. It's exhausting. Not in the way that leaves your body sore, but in the way that leaves your spirit restless. And here's the part nobody talks about enough. When you're always on, you start to forget how to just be. You lose the muscle of boredom, the patience for slow moments, the art of simply noticing what's around you. Because the algorithms don't just compete for your time. They compete for your emotions. Comparison culture isn't new, but the way it's amplified now, it's relentless. You don't just see the highlight reel of your friends anymore. You see the highlight reel of millions of strangers. And even when you know it's filtered, staged, edited, part of you can't help but measure your life against it. You start feeling like you're falling behind. Like you're missing something. That's the psychological toll. The constant hum of FOMO, fear of missing out, buzzing in the background of your mind. But here's the irony. While we are so afraid of missing out on the next post, the next update, the next big thing, we are missing out on this moment, the person sitting across from us, the thoughts we could have had if we'd given them a little space to grow. There's a quiet you only hear when you step out of the loop. It's not just silence, it's clarity. You start to notice how heavy it felt to always be available. You start to realize how much of your urgency wasn't really urgent at all. And you remember what deep connection feels like. The kind that can't be rushed, can't be condensed into 240 characters, can't be replicated in a comment section. Let's get personal for a second. A few years ago, I realized my most common reflex was reaching for my phone. Waiting in line. Phone. Commercial break. Phone. Even walking from one room to another. Phone. It wasn't boredom I was avoiding. It was stillness. And the scariest part? I didn't even notice it happening. When I finally decided to step back, just a little, I felt it immediately. My attention wasn't as scattered. My anxiety dipped. The need to check, started to fade. I was slower, but in the best possible way. You see, we've confused being connected with being constantly connected. They're not the same thing. Being reachable 24/7 doesn't make your relationship stronger. It often makes them thinner. Because the kind of connection that really matters isn't built in notifications. It's built in presence. And presence only happens when you're not somewhere else in your head. So here's a thought. What if you treated your attention like your most valuable currency? Because that's what it is. Spend it on things that truly matter, and you'll feel rich in ways you can't measure. Spend it on every passing distraction, and you'll always feel like you're running out. The cost of always being on is subtle, but over time, it's everything. Your focus, your peace, your sense of enough. And the scary thing? Most of us won't notice what we've lost until we step away long enough to feel the difference. So maybe it's worth asking, what would happen if you gave yourself permission to be off for a while? Not forever, just long enough to remember what your own thoughts sound like without a feed telling you what to think about next. Because the truth is, your life is happening right now, and no algorithm, no matter how advanced, can live it for you. That's the unseen cost of always being on. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to take the power back. Reclaiming your attention. What is digital minimalism? What if I told you, the real problem isn't that you use technology, but how you use it? Because here's the thing. The average person today touches their phone over 2,000 times a day. And yet, most of us don't even remember half of what we looked at. We are not just losing time, we are losing attention. And with it, a piece of ourselves. That's why I want to talk about something that's been a game changer for me, and for thousands of others. Something called digital minimalism. Now, I know the word minimalism can sound intimidating. Like you're supposed to throw away all your devices, move to a cabin, and grow your own vegetables. But that's not what this is about. Digital minimalism isn't a digital detox. It's not about disappearing from the internet or rejecting technology altogether. It's a philosophy, a deliberate, values-driven approach to how you use tech. You don't run from it. You master it. Think of it like this. Imagine your attention as a garden. If you let everything grow, every weed, every invasive plant, it becomes a mess. You can't see the flowers anymore. Digital minimalism is about pulling the weeds. It's about asking, what do I actually want to grow here? What matters to me? And then using technology in a way that helps that grow, instead of choking it out. Here's what it's not. It's not Luddism. You're not smashing your phone with a hammer, or pretending you were born in the wrong century. Technology itself isn't the enemy. It's the way it's designed to use you. Digital minimalism is about flipping that script. It's about intentionality. About making sure you're the one in control. Not the endless scroll, not the push notifications, not the algorithm that knows you better than you know yourself. So, where do you start? You start by identifying your core values. Not in an abstract way, really name them. Do you value deep relationships, learning, creativity, health, peace of mind? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us say we value these things, but our technology use doesn't actually reflect that. Let me give you an example. If you say you value creativity, but you spend 3 hours a day passively scrolling, how much energy is left for writing that book, painting that canvas, learning that skill you've always wanted? If you say you value relationships, but the majority of your connection is liking posts instead of having real conversations, is the technology truly serving that value, or replacing it with a cheaper version? This is the heart of digital minimalism. It's not about cutting out everything digital. It's about aligning your use of tech with the life you actually want to live. If an app truly helps you connect with people you love, keep it. If a tool genuinely helps you create, learn, or grow, use it. But if something consistently pulls you away from your values, it's time to question whether it deserves space in your life. Here's the paradox. When you reduce the noise, you actually get more out of the technology you keep. Why? Because you're no longer using it mindlessly. You're using it with purpose. It stops being a reflex and starts being a tool again. Something you pick up when you need it, not something that hijacks you every time you're bored. I'll be honest, when I first tried this, I thought it would feel like deprivation. Like I'd be missing out on something. But what actually happened was, I felt lighter, more present, more in control. It wasn't that my phone disappeared. It's that my relationship with it changed. I started deciding when and how to engage, instead of letting it decide for me. And the benefits? They stack up fast. My focus got stronger. My conversations went deeper. I had more time, not because the day magically got longer, but because my attention stopped leaking away in 1,000 tiny cuts. If you want to try this, here's a starting point. List your top 3 to 5 core values. Really write them down. Audit your technology use. Ask yourself, does this help or hinder my values? Remove or reduce the misaligned. Don't just delete. Replace the habit with something better. Set intentional boundaries. This could be no phones at the dinner table, scheduled check-in times, or turning off non-essential notifications. And here's the key. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for awareness. Awareness is what gives you choice. You see, reclaiming your attention isn't about escaping the modern world. It's about thriving in it, without letting it own you. Because in the end, technology is just a tool. It can distract you, drain you, and scatter your focus. Or it can help you build the life you actually want. The difference isn't in the device. It's in how you choose to use it. So here's my question for you. If your attention really is the most valuable thing you have, how much of it are you willing to give away to things that don't matter? And more importantly, how much are you ready to take back? That's digital minimalism. Not less life, more life. Not no technology, better technology. Not fear of missing out, joy in what you already have. And it all starts with reclaiming your attention. The algorithmic trap, how platforms keep us hooked. Have you ever picked up your phone just to check one thing, and suddenly an hour is gone? You didn't plan it. You didn't even want it. But somehow, you got pulled in. That's not an accident. That's design. Today, I want to take you behind the curtain, into what I call the algorithmic trap, the invisible system that keeps us scrolling, tapping, watching, even when we know we should stop. And I'm not talking about, oh, I just lack willpower. No, this goes deeper. This is about persuasive design, dopamine manipulation, and a kind of behavioral engineering that would make a Las Vegas casino jealous. Let's start with the basics. Every major platform, social media, video apps, even some news sites, runs on what's called persuasive design. What does that mean? It means every feature, the notifications, the endless feeds, the little red badges, is built to call you back and keep you there. Those ding sounds, they're not random. They're calibrated to grab your attention. The infinite scroll? That's not convenience. It's a slot machine for your brain. You never know what you'll see next. Good post, bad post, shocking post. And that unpredictability is addictive. Here's the science. Every time you check your phone and see something you like, a message, a like, a new video, your brain gets a dopamine hit. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical people talk about. It's actually the motivation chemical. It's what makes you want to check again. And again. And again. Tech companies know this. They design for it. They keep you in what's called a variable reward loop. A system where you never quite know when the reward will come, so you keep checking, just in case. Think about it. Casinos figured this out decades ago. If the jackpot came on a schedule, people would get bored. But if it's unpredictable, your brain can't resist just one more spin. Social media works the same way. That's why your feed is endless. Why notifications are spaced just far enough apart to keep you curious. Why likes don't all show up at once. They drip feed them to you. Now, here's where it gets darker. It's not just about keeping you online longer. It's about knowing you better than you know yourself. Every click, every pause, every swipe. It's all data. That data feeds the algorithm, and the algorithm learns exactly what will keep you, specifically you, engaged. If you lingered on a post about travel, expect more travel posts. If you clicked a controversial headline, expect more outrage content. If you watched a video all the way to the end, expect a dozen more just like it. The more you interact, the more precise the algorithm gets. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't just about selling ads, it's about shaping your behavior. You're not just a user. You're a subject in an experiment where the goal isn't your well-being. It's your attention. Because attention is money. Here's a personal story. I remember one night, I was tired, had a big day ahead, and I thought, I'll just check my feed for a few minutes before bed. 45 minutes later, I was deep into some random thread about a celebrity feud I didn't care about, reading comments from people I didn't know. And I thought, how did I even get here? The truth? I didn't get there. I was taken there, led step by step by an algorithm that knew exactly how to keep me hooked. And that's the trap. It doesn't feel like a trap because it's customized to you. The feed feels personal. The recommendations feel like your choice. But really, they're the algorithm's choice, designed to maximize your time on the platform, not your quality of life. So, what do? I'm not going to tell you to throw your phone in the ocean. Technology isn't evil, but it is powerful, and you need to treat it like something powerful. Start by recognizing the design tricks. Turn off non-essential notifications. Put your phone on grayscale mode to make it less stimulating. Create friction. Log out of apps you overuse so it's harder to just check. And most importantly, set intentional times to be online and stick to them. Because here's the truth. When you understand the trap, you can step out of it. You can use technology on your terms. You can scroll when you decide, not when a ping tells you to. The goal isn't to live without algorithms, it's to live without being owned by them. At the end of the day, the algorithm is just code. But your attention, that's life. And once you give it away, you can't get it back. So, the next time you find yourself pulled into the scroll, ask yourself, is this really what I want to be doing right now? Because every minute you give to a screen is a minute you're not giving to something or someone else. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to take that power back. Practical steps to unplug and reconnect. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you went a whole day without checking your phone? Not just, oh, I barely used it today. I mean a full day, no scrolling, no notifications, no endless tabs open in your mind. If you can't remember, you're not alone. For most of us, the idea of unplugging feels impossible. And yet, deep down, we know we need it. Today, I'm not here to convince you to throw your devices into the ocean. I'm here to give you a roadmap, a way to reset your relationship with technology without losing the benefits of it. This isn't about going backwards. It's about going forward, on your terms. And it starts with something I call the 30-day digital declutter. Here's how it works. For 30 days, you intentionally step back from every optional digital activity in your life. Not just the obvious time wasters, but anything that isn't essential for your work or your personal obligations. That means no aimless scrolling, no checking apps out of habit, no constant grazing on information just because it's there. The goal isn't punishment, it's clarity. You're creating space so you can see what actually matters to you, without the noise. Now, here's the part most people miss. The declutter isn't just about removing tech, it's about replacing it with something better. If you just delete apps but keep sitting on the couch with nothing to do, your brain is going to crave that quick hit of stimulation. So, you fill the space on purpose. Read real books. Take long walks. Cook without a podcast in the background. Call a friend instead of liking their post. This is where you start to remember what it feels like to live in a moment without documenting it. After the 30 days, you begin to reintroduce digital tools, but here's the key. You do it on your terms. And this is where curating your digital environment comes in. Think of your phone like your living room. If it's full of clutter, you're going to feel stressed every time you walk in. So, clean it up. Mute notifications that don't require immediate attention. If it's not urgent, it can wait. Unfollow triggers, accounts, channels, or pages that make you feel anxious, inadequate, or angry for no good reason. Use grayscale mode. It sounds simple, but when your phone looks less like a candy store, you'll be amazed at how much less you crave it. When you do this, your phone stops being a slot machine and starts being a tool again. It's like the difference between a kitchen where everything's piled on the counter and one where the space is clean, intentional, and ready for you to create something. Now, let's talk about something I love. What I call building your digital garden. If your social feeds are a noisy marketplace, your digital garden is the opposite. It's quiet, intentional, and designed to nurture you. A digital garden could be a private folder of articles you actually want to read, a playlist of music that helps you focus, a note-taking app where you collect ideas instead of distractions. It's a place where you plant what you want to grow, your focus, your creativity, your curiosity, instead of letting algorithms throw random seeds into your mind. But here's the thing, your garden isn't only digital. In fact, it thrives best when it's connected to the real world. That means carving out spaces in your daily life for deep work, creativity, and actual human connection, without screens. It could be a morning writing ritual, a weekly dinner with friends where phones stay in another room, or a hobby that has nothing to do with technology, painting, hiking, woodworking, cooking. The point is to create a rhythm where your default state is living, not just consuming. Here's the truth. We can't go back to a pre-digital world, and honestly, I wouldn't want to. Technology connects us in incredible ways. But connection isn't the same as connection at all costs. If we never step back, we forget that we have the power to choose what we let in, what we focus on, and what we give our attention to. I've seen people go through the 30-day digital declutter and come out the other side saying things like, "I had no idea how much mental space I'd get back. I actually feel calmer. I didn't realize how much I'd been living on autopilot until I stepped off it." And I've felt it too. When I cut out the noise, I notice the small things again, the way the light changes in the afternoon, the sound of my own thoughts, the fact that the world outside my screen is alive. If you try this, if you really commit to unplugging and reconnecting, you might be surprised by what happens. Not just more free time, not just more focus, but a sense of peace you didn't even realize you'd been missing. Because here's the secret. We don't unplug just to escape the digital world. We unplug so that when we do plug back in, we are doing it with intention. Using technology as a tool for the life we want, not a substitute for the life we have. And that's the real win. Beyond the screen, embracing a present life. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you were fully present? Not half here, half in your head. Not one eye on the conversation, the other on your phone. I mean completely in the moment, listening, noticing, living. If that's hard to remember, you're not alone. We live in a world that pulls our attention in 100 directions at once. And yet, the funny thing is, when we step away from the constant hum of the digital world, we don't lose anything essential. In fact, we often find more than we expected. The unexpected benefits. I've seen it happen again and again. People step away from their screens and suddenly, their focus sharpens. They sleep better. Their creativity comes rushing back like it's been waiting in the wings all along. It's like clearing a desk that's been buried under years of clutter. When the space is open, you finally have room to think. Personally, I didn't realize how much of my attention was leaking away in tiny, invisible drips until I unplugged for a week. By the third day, my thoughts felt different. Slower, but in a good way. Instead of my mind skipping across the surface like a stone, it began to sink deeper into whatever I was doing. And relationships, wow, they changed too. When you put the phone down during dinner, people notice. When you actually look someone in the eyes without glancing at a notification, they feel it. The conversations get richer. The silences get more comfortable. Redefining connection. We've been sold a strange idea over the last decade, that being connected means being online all the time. That if you're not posting, you're disappearing. That a like, a comment, or a follow equals real connection. But think about it. How many connections in your feed could you actually call at 2 a.m. in a crisis? How many would show up on your doorstep? No questions asked. The truth is, connection isn't measured in notifications. It's measured in moments. In the sound of someone's laugh in the same room as you. In the warmth of a hug you didn't have to schedule. In the quiet knowing that comes from simply spending time together. No agenda, no performance. When we stop chasing digital validation, we free ourselves to seek something deeper. Not I posted, therefore I am. But I was here, I felt this, I shared it with you, and that's enough. A sustainable path forward. Now, I'm not saying we should all go live in cabins without Wi-Fi. Though, I'll admit, the fantasy is tempting some days. The point isn't to reject technology. It's to reshape our relationship with it so it serves us, instead of the other way around. That's where digital minimalism comes in, not as a one-time detox, but as an ongoing practice. It's about asking, does this tool align with my values? Does it help me live the life I actually want? For me, that means checking messages at set times instead of grazing on them all day. Choosing 2 or 3 online spaces I truly care about, instead of scattering my attention across 20. Making sure my mornings start with my own thoughts, not the thoughts of strangers in my feed. For you, it might look different. Maybe it's a phone-free Sunday. Maybe it's keeping your bedroom a tech-free zone so your mind knows how to rest. Maybe it's replacing 1 hour of scrolling with 1 hour of something that actually feeds you. Reading, gardening, painting, walking, talking. The point is, this isn't about perfection. It's about presence. Why it's worth it. Here's what I've learned. The more present you are, the richer life becomes. Colors seem brighter. Music hits deeper. Your own company starts to feel like enough. And no algorithm can replicate that. We've gotten so used to living half in our screens that we've forgotten what it feels like to live fully in ourselves. But it's still there, waiting. The peace, the focus, the moments that actually matter. All of it exists just beyond the screen. So maybe the question isn't, can I live without my phone? The real question is, what could I gain if I tried? Because the life you want, the deeper relationships, the better sleep, the sharper mind, it's not hidden in the next update or notification. It's here, now, in the people and moments right in front of you. And the beautiful thing, once you start living that way, you realize you're not missing out on anything important. You're finally catching up to the life that was always yours.